In 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mission Employable podcast. My name is Ben Oldak, here with our great guest today, Tiffany Tauscheck, President and CEO of the Greater Des Moines Partnership. Welcome in to the Mission Employable podcast. Glad to have you here.
Thanks, Ben. Really appreciate the time.
Yeah. So we'll just jump right into it because we got a lot to talk about today. We are talking about how industries are growing across Des Moines, some potential investment opportunities that employers are having here, and all the good things about how the city is growing. So just give me a general overview a little bit about how the city is doing right now.
You got it. Well, we are in a position of strength in the Greater Des Moines region. And we, the partnership, we actually represent 11 different counties throughout central Iowa. So that 11 county footprint is representative of about 850,000 residents. The good news is we continue to grow that population, and we're able to do so in part because of the great businesses and business climate that we have here. So some examples of areas where we're seeing continued growth: manufacturing, data centers, logistics, also construction services. We have a number of projects underway, as you know, and that really helps drive that construction business. And then finally, just our hospitality industry is growing very, very strongly. And I think that just really speaks to not only the great quality of life amenities that we continue to have here and that individuals are certainly spending their time and resources on, but also that's a great draw for visitors. And one thing we spend a lot of time talking about is today's tourists are tomorrow's talent. So the more visitors that we can attract into our region and state, the stronger that will help our workforce development as well.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I was just thinking about some of the big events that we've had here in Des Moines, like the NCAA tournament for basketball, or the Dew Tour coming in at the skate park. Like, I was going to ask, how important are those kinds of events for building that kind of interest in moving to the city?
It's huge. That really matters in part because it helps differentiate our community and our state from others. And we know that it drives, again, those tourists, which are imperative to our continued growth as a state and population. But part of that benefit, too, is as we're drawing in not only our residents and visitors into the community and to these events, it's also helping support our small businesses and all of those unique attractions that we have in our community. So we think, and the data shows, it really does help. We also had a workforce trends and occupancy study in 2023 where we surveyed our knowledge workforce, hyper-local data set, 2,000 knowledge workers here in our region, and they said that quality of life amenities, events, cultural attractions are key in helping them keep here and stay here, and also helps drive more talent here. We also heard outdoor amenities, outdoor recreation is a huge draw, and of course, safety too.
Sure. All good things. Are there any big events that the city is aiming for over the next couple of years to bring in that you can talk about?
Yeah, Catch Des Moines, which is the Convention and Visitors Bureau, they do a phenomenal job, Greg Edwards and his team, and they have a number of events they're working on an ongoing basis, including, of course, NCAA, which is always a great draw for us. But there are a number of other events that they're working on. We are really, really proud of the great Lauritsen Skate Park. It's the largest skate park in the United States.
It's wild.
We have it right here. And it continues to be a draw. We know the Icon Water Trails project will be a huge draw. There's a lot of momentum, a lot of progress happening with that project and many others.
That's awesome. So we talk about the people coming in here and growing the city and the employee base. What are some of the investments that employers are starting to make in the region this year and maybe in the next 5 years?
Well, we have seen through our economic development team and in close partnership with many communities and partners, including Iowa Economic Development Authority and IWD, we saw in 2023 31 projects that took shape here in our region. And that is equivalent to more than $2 billion in capital investment. So there is a lot of momentum, a lot of projects in the queue that we can't even talk about. In 2023, we had 94 projects in the queue. And part of this is these projects take a long time.
Sure.
It takes many years at some points to get these projects landed. But what we know is that our strong business climate, our pro-business climate, is what really helps set us apart and helps draw those businesses to our communities.
Yeah. Could you go into a little bit more detail about like what makes the Des Moines Metro such a good place for employers to invest in?
Yes. We are the fastest growing major Midwest in terms of population growth. In all the cities, we are the fastest growth. We are averaging 1.5% growth each year. But when you look at the last decade and the U.S. Census Bureau data, we have 16.3% population growth, which is fantastic for this region. And we believe that's in part because of our skilled workforce. We have a higher than the national average percentage of skilled workforce, 36%. And we also know that that level of degree attainment is really rooted in our key industries, including precision ag, healthcare, finance, insurance, as well as advanced manufacturing, healthcare. And we also know that the overall cost of doing business is 12% lower here. Overall cost of living is 13% lower. So there's a lot of benefits. Those are just a few data-based. We also know we have a low medium house price, low quick and easy commute times.
Yeah.
So all those things add up to this really being a place where businesses want to locate because it helps attract talent. And I would just say, even anecdotally, we are hearing more and more from individuals that are considering moving to our community in our region because of those assets. It's a safe place to live, easy to get around, it's affordable, it's a place where you can really get connected. Additionally, in terms of data, in 2022, we know that individuals from 46 states and 5 continents moved to this region.
Yeah. Wow.
So what we're doing is working. It is drawing more people into the state.
For sure. Now, drawing them is obviously one thing. What can we do and what can employers do to work on the retention aspect of that, right? Because it's one thing to bring people here. It's another to get them to stay for 10, 20 years.
Yes. Well, in that same workforce trends and occupancy study that we conducted in 2023, we were able to get better insight into our knowledge workforce and what they specifically are looking for. So yes, in addition to those cultural amenities, outdoor recreation, safety, what they're looking for from their employers is continued flexibility. So we're really continuing to get the word out to our investors and members and affiliates about the importance of flexibility. Many of them are doing that already. But also it's important, we're hearing through that survey results from the knowledge workforce, they're understanding that time in the office is also needed to help them connect, not only because it creates to the culture of the organization overall, but it also helps them from a professional development perspective, helps with cross-training, helps with collaboration. You're going to get more done and feel your fingerprints on the future if you're at that table with others.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're getting you're seeing a lot of positive response from like hybrid work schedules, allowing that work from home time that everybody got used to during the pandemic, but also having, a couple of days a week where you're in the office. I mean, that's something that I do here. I have a couple of days in the office where I'm in studio and working on different video projects, and then I've got a couple of days at work where I'm working from home, and that's something that obviously I love. But it's nice to know that that's something that a lot of people are having success with.
Yes, it is working, and even in terms of our downtown foot traffic, which we're able to track, we use software to help track via cell phones. How many people we have downtown, and we can look at any of the communities that we represent, look at those snapshots. Downtown, we're at over 80% of for foot traffic, what we were in 2019, which is really strong, and that's at any given time. So you take into account the fact that we do have some hybrid workers, some that are working in different places at different times, and we still have 80% foot traffic on an ongoing basis on average. Is a pretty good story.
Yeah, that's really important, and I don't think enough people think about that. I was listening to another podcast where they talked about cities like New York that are so heavily influenced by like work commuter foot traffic that are having a tough time now. And I mean, that's another advantage for Des Moines here that even if you're a small business that opens up something in one of these areas where normally you would see a lot of foot traffic, there's still, like you said, there's 80%, there that's still for the taking.
Yes. And Friday, Saturday, Sundays, we're at over 90%. I mean, people are still coming into the office, but in different ways, and their patterns have changed. And it's up to us as leaders and throughout the community to help really lean in and find ways to maximize the time that they're in those communities.
Yeah. So obviously it seems like such a great place for large businesses to make investments and come in. But what about small businesses and the kind of opportunities that entrepreneurs have to set up shop here.
Yeah. The Greater Des Moines Partnership, as the economic development and talent development organization for the region, we really lean into that startup and small business community support as well. We have a number of resources that we offer to our small businesses and startups, including one-on-one consulting as needed. We have all kinds of different programs, resources online for those who aren't able to maybe spend the time with those one-on-one consultations or attending any of our events. We have upcoming on June 10th, the Small Business Success Summit. Last year, we had 250 people attend that. So if you stop and think about it, these are individuals who are taking time away from the small business they are running to work on their business, right?
Yeah.
And that's a big deal, and it's really helping them. We hear great feedback about the Small Business Success Summit and those connections. So much of it does come down to us as residents supporting our neighbors and their businesses as small business owners, but also those small business owners and startups having access to resources and mentoring. And we have a whole number of ways that we can offer that kind of support in a more customized way as needed. But very much appreciate all of those startups and small businesses. We also, in 2023, rolled out an accelerator program and an incubator program. So we're able now to track and measure on an ongoing basis from the incubator program, which was Spark DSM, and the accelerator program, Scale DSM, the success. And it's helping those businesses really scale up in a way that's meaningful, but also sustainable for them.
Yeah. That's really wonderful to have those kinds of opportunities for these small businesses to grow and expand and do it at a scalable way. One of the things that I know you guys are really interested in, and I wanted to make sure that we talked about, was work-based learning and what your thoughts are surrounding that and how that's going to prepare people to enter the workforce.
Yes. Really appreciate you bringing that up, Ben, because work-based learning is something we are leaning into big time. We at the partnership embarked on an 11-county listening tour. Given I was new to the role of president and CEO in July, we spent a lot of time in those communities that we represent throughout the 11 counties. And there were 4 key themes that came up over and over again as opportunities for us as a region and state. And those are workforce, education, housing, and childcare. So the first 2 are dead center with that work-based learning strategy. So our team and many other partners that we're working with, including your team, are continuing to lean in on that work-based learning strategy. We also outlined just very recently through our 6 strategic priorities for 2024, a new work-based learning program and internship program with Principal Charity Classic and Salmon's Financial. So there is a lot in motion, and it's because we see huge potential with getting in front of some of our youth a little sooner and helping them see the pathway to different career opportunities through work-based learning.
Yeah, I was going to say, what makes work-based learning like that, like such a great avenue for these kids to try things out and get interested in careers at a younger age?
Yeah, it's that access.
Yeah.
It's giving them those experiences, but they're also receiving, in some cases, they're being paid for their time.
Sure.
And they have that time to learn and from a mentor or others in an office or work environment. That's access that they may not have otherwise had. And again, those continued work-based learning opportunities are providing insight and helping them discover, hey, this is something I'm really interested in. This is an area where I could excel. And it's helping the employers certainly with their future workforce. So even our internship program, our DSM internship program that we had last summer, I think it was like 70% of those that went through that program said they now want to stay in our region and work for that company that they had that internship with. So having that access and relationship building is really critical and key.
Yeah, that's great that you mentioned that. The retention aspect is really interesting because, you have the opportunity while they're here and they're still going to school. We're not, even if they're in high school, they're not leaving really anytime soon, to really show off what working for an Iowa company is like and help, persuade them to stay here and give them a reason to stay here, because they're going to have opportunities, sometimes right after high school, right after you graduate, you can get in. And the other thing is that it's also such a great way to figure out what you don't want to do,
Yes.
without having to make a huge investment in a degree or a certificate or something like that, and then find out that, oh, I want to do something else.
Exactly. And that's part of it. I mean, I don't know about you, but this is not the job that I thought I was going to have
Nope.
when I was growing up. I didn't even know this job existed, right? So I think that's part of it too, is giving our kids throughout the community access to explore and determine through those experiences what may or may not be a good fit for them.
Absolutely. Anything else that I missed that we wanted to talk about today?
The other thing I just want to touch on real quick,
Yeah,
if that's
please.
okay, Ben, is our just continued support of the mega bill,
Okay.
the mega site legislation. And we really see this as an opportunity in terms of economic development, which goes hand in hand with talent development, to help encourage site selectors to really look at our state. While the legislation and so the legislation actually outlines that you have to have at least 250 acres with investments of at least $1 billion. And currently, none of those sites are identified in our region, but we still see this as a huge win and a huge opportunity for us as a state to help set ourselves apart from others, in addition to all of those other stats that we've talked about already on your program here today. But I just want to thank you for your dedication and your commitment to help getting the word out. We really believe in the power of storytelling as a way to inform and inspire, and to help individuals see themselves in the future and in that plan in the future of the region.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Tiffany, for swinging by the podcast studio. Great to have you, and I'm sure we'll follow up with you maybe in another year and see where we're at in 2025.
Thanks, Ben. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.